Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Brian. Today we're going to go over the week 7 games, and as you can tell, I'll be going over the loss of Michigan to USC, and then we'll go over the rest of the schedule. So right off the rip, obviously you can see I have this pulled up, and you can look at that and you can say, okay, the point I brought up last week about Michigan needed to do is get to the quarterback. Yeah, clearly that did not happen at all. 25-32 for 265. That's if you let a quarterback do that, it's gonna tear you apart all day long. 2 touchdown interception, you know, that's fine. Interception is good. I believe Zeke Berry had that interception, but it doesn't matter if you let him get 265 yards on you, and as we'll see in a minute, we'll get to the rushing yards. There was over 500 yards total offense. Any team that does that to you is likely gonna win the game. And clearly their offensive line, which didn't allow a sack. Yeah, you're not going to beat USC. You're not going to beat hardly anybody if you allow that kind of performance. So right off the rip, you can see that. Bryce Underwood had was 15 and 20 for 207, 2 touchdowns, interception. Those aren't awful numbers, but not great either. But at the same time, only 2 sacks, so could have been worse. His completion percentage was okay, not great. That's probably I don't even know what that percentage is, but probably in the 70% range ish. Maybe no, 60-some%, but not bad, but still definitely not enough. And here's where the biggest gap you'll see. Uh 224 yards total rushing, 18 for 159, averaged 8.8 yards. Michigan's defensive line was dominated both in a running and passing game. USC beat Michigan at what Michigan has prided itself in. I was watching Joel Klatt yesterday, and he was talking about this, and he made a great point. Michigan has prided itself in being physical uh, in both sides of the ball. They, 2 yards in a cloud, like 3 yards in a cloud of dust. Just physical, hard nose, smash mouth football, and USC just flat out beat them in the line and virtually every other way that mattered. Yeah, not a good performance from Michigan. Just not. Unfortunately, you know, love them as much as I do. Sometimes they deserve criticism. This is one game where they just did not show up at all, and it's really unfortunate. So, give USC their proper due. They showed up, they played hard, and they beat Michigan in at their own game, basically. They had, yeah, one player averaging 8.8 yards is crazy, and the other ones did fairly well too. Averaging 7 yards a carry 5 times. I mean, even that's great. Obviously, he didn't have to carry quite as much. The other one, 1139, 3.5. Well, not quite as good still. He didn't have to. He was only going, you know, he was looks like Wayman Jordan. I believe he's a wide receiver too, but perhaps not. But yeah, that's incredible. Like that average is nuts. Uh USC just beat Michigan in both areas. From Michigan only had 109 rushing yards. That's unusual considering their previous production in other games. I understand Justice Haynes got hurt, but you have to have people that are willing to step into that gap if somebody gets hurt and make those big plays. When your longest run is 13 yards, that's not making those big plays. That's not. And Jordan Marshall's a good running back. We saw it last year against Alabama, but you can't. Yeah, you can't have that against get beaten that badly in the trenches at what essentially was your bread and butter, to win games previous. So, unfortunately, Michigan did not do that. And that's, you can tell just right off the rip there what happened there. Um, I don't know if it's a coaching problem or what, but that can't happen again. That can't, if Michigan wants to go, even go get to 9 wins this season, you can't have this kind of thing happening. So, uh, yeah, receiving wise, USC did everything necessary. Oh, I was wrong. He's a running back. Never mind. But yeah, they had some great averages, some long passing plays, chunk plays that just kept the ball moving downfield. Yeah, Michigan got beat just straight up, and props to USC for taking advantage of that and doing great. Uh, to be fair, Andrew Marsh did have 138 yards. That's good. We need more of that every game. Can't just have that be a one-offs. Donovan McCauley did all right, 3 for 39. That's averaging about 13 yards you know, a throw. So it's respectable. We need to get our tight ends back. This can't be 1 for 5. We got to do better than that with the talent we have on a roster. We could be doing so much more. So I do know that I've seen this in multiple areas. Bryce Underwood is. We forget that he's a young guy. So what we need to do, and what Michigan needs to do, sorry, teach him the difference between throwing a passable ball, excuse me, throwing a passable ball and just chucking the ball at somebody. There is a difference. Throwing a ball that receivers can catch, and while drops have been a problem and receivers need to catch the ball, throwing that ball so that receiver can catch the ball and put it in the right space and the right place is so important. That is, I think, part of the problem what's been going on here. So can only hope that things improve for them. But once again, props to USC for winning. They beat Michigan at their own game. They won it. So um, defensively, obviously Zeke Berry did have an interception, but Michigan had no sacks, and that's not like them. So that's obvious. That's a glaring issue right there. They did have a couple forced fumbles, which is good. Bunch of solo tackles from the normal usual suspects. Ernest Hausman had 7. These guys. So the guys made the plays, just not at the right time and not at the right place, unfortunately. So yeah, we just need to do better. That's what it is. Um, does this take them out of the running for? I don't think they're ever in running for the Big Ten championship per se, but does this preclude them from learning and getting better? No, not at all. I think they can learn from this and grow and develop. But it's gonna take a lot of time, and it's gonna take a lot of film study and effort, and guys, putting in the work and be willing to learn in order for them to improve on this kind of performance. Because it's the second road team they faced, or second time they've been on the road, and we're only able to get 13 points. And the other team scored north of, I think, Oklahoma put 20, 24 or 29 points on them, and USC just dropped 31. Now, mind you, are away, and all that comes with a hostile crowd, quote unquote, but they can do better. And they need to learn how to do better. And I understand Sherman Moore, his first full year as coach, and he's had some issues with that, but Michigan, you know, after 2 years ago won national championship. Last year, 8-5, but some good wins. I don't know. People are going to start getting real antsy about that. So either way, Michigan can do better, and you know we need to improve these numbers, or if we're going to see better wins coming, more wins coming in the future, because the schedule doesn't get particularly much easier going down the road. So once again, kudos to USC for solid win. So moving on to the rest of the schedule. Once again, I have been proven that apparently upsets hate me, because I said teams would win and they lost. So it's kind of interesting to see. Right off the rip, obviously, Ohio State beat Illinois. I got that one right, and I think everybody would have gotten that right, because That's a talented team. Ohio State's looking unstoppable right now, and they are rightfully number 1. So where I was wrong is Indiana, Oregon. I thought Indiana traveling to Oregon would make a huge difference. I was wrong. Indiana is legit. They beat Oregon in about as good as you're gonna beat a top 10 team. So, kudos to them for playing hard, but that was impressive. That was just a great game. I did get this right, Ole Miss, Washington State. However, there's no reason that should be that close. Washington State, really? They're bad. So, Ole Miss was punching down on that one. So, just got it right, but not nearly as right as I wanted it to be. Texas A&M beat Florida, not close. I said that one might be an upset, but Texas A&M, they're for real this year. It's kinda nice. Here's the big upset, Oklahoma, Texas. What in the world is Oklahoma doing? Like, Texas dominated them at the line, and it just never got better for Oklahoma. Michigan needed Oklahoma to win to keep that quality loss factor going. That didn't happen. Oklahoma's, I would say, probably out of the top 15, maybe as low as 20, but we'll see. And Texas will probably go back into the 20s. So, yeah, not a good loss for Oklahoma. I was wrong about that. So, it's unfortunate. Alabama, Missouri. Yeah, I believe I called that right. I thought Alabama would win. It was a close game, though. Missouri's a good team. So, hey, it's a good team right there. So, keep doing what they're doing. Missouri probably won't move too much in the ranks, I imagine. Alabama is top 10, probably maybe dropped out 1 or 2 spots. But Texas Tech and Kansas, believe I said Texas Tech win that because I believe they're the truth. They're really good this year. They're really showing it. This Georgia Auburn game, there was some controversy with the refs on that one, but a win's a win, and they're not going to take it from them. So I believe I said South Carolina would beat LSU, but I was obviously wrong about that. But still, LSU did not look impressive. South Carolina just happened to look worse. Um, Arkansas, Tennessee. I said Tennessee would win, but I thought Tennessee was going to blow the doors off Arkansas. Once again, I was right about the end result, but not about how it ending was. Yeah, that was intense. So, you know, man, teams are playing up. They're not playing to the level they should this year, I guess. One team that has been is Virginia Tech and Georgia Tech. Virginia Tech, man, they look good, really good. They are underrated. I think 13 may be too low for them. They might be I can conceivably see them being a top 10 team in this next week or so. Obviously, I already covered Michigan, Southern California. Kind of disappointing, but yeah, I already covered that. Notre Dame beating North Carolina State. Yeah, good win. Notre Dame's shown, they did lose earlier this season, but they're they're doing all right. You know, they're beating the teams they should beat. They've only lost, I believe, who they lose to. I know they lost to Texas A&M, and that was a close game. So, you know, quality losses mean something. BYU beating Arizona. Arizona made it close, but BYU is a solid team. Yeah, Utah just put it on Arizona State. I thought Arizona State was going to outclass them. No, Utah just put it on them. So, I know nothing. Here's another one that I thought was going to be different. Pittsburgh, Florida State. Yeah, Florida State is just falling off a cliff. They're doing the opposite of Alabama. Alabama lost to them. They learned and they grew. Florida State got way too high, and I don't know. I don't know what's going on, but I believe Mike Norvell is the coach there. He's on the hot seat. And that seat is burning up. Um, Colorado beat Iowa State. I thought Iowa State would win that, I believe. Uh, Disappointing. Really disappointing. Colorado just straight up outplayed them. Iowa State needs to win those kind of games. They really, really do. Stanford, SMU. Didn't see his game, didn't really see his stats, don't know much about it. Don't but Stanford's kind of fallen out of relevance for past couple of years now. They've come a long way since Andrew Luck days. UCLA, Michigan State. What's going on with UCLA, man? Jerry Neuheisel, he's turned that team just completely the other direction. Hey, more power to him, but holy smokes, where did this guy come from? So, you know, Michigan State losing. I'm not going to cry about that for sure, but yeah, UCLA is showing out. He's getting coaches fired left and right. You never know. Jonathan Smith may be on the outs at Michigan State sooner rather than later if they keep losing like that. Um, Cincinnati beat UCF. Good for Cincinnati. I know they played. They beat Iowa State earlier this year, so they've had some. You know, I wouldn't say it's a good win given the Iowa State loss, but they're playing. They're doing all right. Army beat Charlotte. Yeah, that triple option will have you run in circles if you don't have the talent to beat them. Miami beat Akron. That's the battle of the meh. James Madison beat Louisiana. Good for them. Houston beat Oklahoma State. Everybody's beating Oklahoma State this year. Oklahoma State might not even have a win. Bowling Green beat Toledo. Battle of the bottom feeders. Some MAC action going on here. Hey, Michigan team won. Holy smokes. Kent State beat Massachusetts. Wow, Kent State. I believe both teams went into that either both with no wins or 1-5 or something like that. Yeah, those once again battle of the bottom feeders, and apparently Massachusetts is the bottom feeder. Old Dominion and Marshall, high scoring game. Looks like both did well. Air Force UNLV, that's a shootout right there. So that's really kind of fun. That must have been fun to watch. I believe Alex Orji, former Michigan quarterback, played at UNLV if I remember correctly. So I'm sure must be nice for him to. I do believe he got supplanted as a starter. I don't think he's starting there, but because he was not very good, unfortunately. Big body, definitely a tight end in the NFL type of body, but he's not a quarterback. Wake Forest and Oregon State. Oregon State just not this year. Just ain't their year. Nebraska, Maryland. I know there was some controversy about a dirty play. Dylan Raiola was really good, but if I remember correct, he got hurt and he got a late hit. That was, it's kind of ugly. You never want to see that in a game. You never want to see somebody get hurt. And here's the one that really kind of had everybody in a tizzy. Northwestern beat Penn State, and then of course the resulting firing of James Franklin. Um, yeah, that shook up everything. I thought Dabo Sweeney or Bill Belichick would be on the outs long before this happened. Clearly not. And I know that James Franklin has to get a coaching or broadcasting job, and I believe it has to pay something around $8 million, and then Penn State will only owe him the difference or something like that. It's in his contract. It was just released today. So, but yeah, shocking. Penn State has just the fall is insane, and of course, tragic news. Drew Aller got hurt. We never wish that on anybody. It's unfortunate, but Penn State has just taken an absolute nosedive off a cliff. So it's unfortunate. Some Ball State, Western Michigan laid it on Ball State. App State, App State has shown some heart. I know they're only in the past couple of years they've moved up to the FBS level, but they're doing really good. Kansas State beat TCU. A good game right there. Navy beat Temple. Service academies, showing out last couple of weeks. Florida Atlantic being UAB 53. Whew. That's a high scoring one. Wyoming beat San Jose State. Battle of the mid card, so to speak. ULM, Coastal Carolina. Coastal Carolina's had some. I believe the Ravens drafted Isaiah Likely, so he should be happy about that. Iowa beat Wisconsin. I don't know when the last time I saw Iowa beat anybody by 37 points. So Some notable there. Clem's laid on Boston College, nothing new. Dabo Sweeney hopefully is able to get his, mind right and getting that program back on the rails because they were not looking hot at all. He was on the hot seat for a minute. Boston, but wins against Boston College are not what's gonna redeem that season at all. He's gonna have to beat the teams that matter when it matters. UTSA Rice, 61-13. Goodness. Minnesota beating Purdue. Those are mid card Big Ten teams that are just not good this year. So, both those teams essentially are in rebuilding phases. So, Troy, Texas State, didn't see it. Not a fan of either team, but hey, good for Troy. Boise State beat New Mexico. Michigan beat New Mexico early in the season, so you almost hope for New Mexico to beat Boise State, but they just don't have the talent. San Diego State beat Nevada. Final game. Um, oh, and yep, Hawaii beat Utah State. Didn't even see that game. And I know that I did watch just now. I saw Liberty playing, I believe it was New Mexico State. That was a decent game. But yeah. So that was the season. That was this past week's games. I'm not even going to go into predict any at this point. I'm not even sure I should because I am getting so bad at these predictions. They're just upsets are happening left and right. But yeah, hopefully, whatever team whether it's Michigan or whoever, they won. And if they lost, hopefully they can learn and be better. Just like I hope Michigan learns from their loss to USC. And yeah, just got to move on to the next week and put the past in the past. And hopefully we can grow and be better next week. So thanks for watching again. Appreciate everybody who's been watching these videos. And if you enjoy the content, like and subscribe and have a good one. Peace.